You want to upgrade your kit, accessorize yourself and your bike to get ready for race day. How do you do that with $2,000? Welcome back, Brian.
All right.
Okay, so we did the 8K, we did the 4K, and by popular demand, what's the best way to spend $2,000 on your next race bike? Excited to get into it. This has been a heavily requested video, so I'm excited to talk about it. We've spent way too much time in the last 2 weeks going over this, but the rules are a little different this time. We decided in this situation, you already have a bike. Now it is secondhand, it is used, it's probably not ready for race day, but it fits you and you can race on it. I think, what'd you describe it as? You're like a Zwift
It's like a Zwift avatar, yeah.
You're like, you have that basic, very like intro level bike, you have the kit, you have the helmet, but like all of it is like very, very minimal. You want to upgrade your kit, accessorize yourself and your bike to get ready for race day. How do you do that with $2,000? So let's go over some rules. Number one, you can't buy secondhand. You have to buy things that are in stock, and you can't, there's no like wish.com or shady websites. So we've decided everything has to be purchased from performancebike.com. And I know what you're thinking. This is a sponsored video by Performance Bike. It's actually not. They are affiliate links down below, so that will help the channel. But the idea here is to save as much money for you guys as possible. So if you can find a better deal elsewhere, like by all means. And actually, with that said, I do have one exception. Stages.com, you guys probably know this. Stages is a sponsor of this channel, and they're offering 20% off on their website. So in the interest of saving you guys more money, 20% off, you can also buy from Stages. So to recap, $2,000 to bring your clunker up to speed for race day, pardon the pun. And performancebike.stages.com, we have spent too much time looking over this. I'm excited to get into the picks. Let's do it.
Spent some virtual money.
Yes. Okay, so we've broken this up into 3 categories, and I've been doing a lot of talking, so I'm gonna kick it over to Brian for category number 1.
Spinny things.
Spinny things. Take it away.
So what spinny things do we have on bikes? Wheels. So I went with Zip 303S's. So yeah, I've never actually owned a pair of Zips, so I thought this was a good opportunity. But no, they're durable. They've, I feel like, put the name of fragile carbon wheels behind them. They're the perfect depth that you can train with them.
303, yeah.
You know, you can train with them, you can race with them. I think it sits in that really sweet spot where it's just very versatile. And with that come versatile tires, in my opinion. Some Vittoria Corsa control. Kind of a race suppleness to them, but they have a little bit added protection versus the Norma Corsas or the Corsa Speeds.
What width did you go on the tires?
28s. So they are wider.
No, but that's pretty middle ground these days. I see a theme here. Middle ground wheels, middle ground tires.
Yeah, it's kind of this sweet spot. And then, but I did throw in, which is most definitely not middle ground, is I threw in latex tubes.
Attaboy.
So you have to have that, you know, to embrace the suppleness of those tires.
Yeah.
Supple tubes, less likely to pinch flat on top of that. So yeah.
So wait, I gotta ask, because you were using like multi-purpose and like middle ground. Like, is this your training setup or is this your race setup?
It's everything.
It's your everything setup.
It's everything, yeah.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, carbon wheels have put behind the fragile state.
This is true.
And so, like,
I train with carbon wheels.
You can train with carbon wheels. Young Brian would be hating me right now.
Yeah, it's so true, right? Okay, here, let me tell you what I got for for category 1. Spinny boys. I too went with wheels. This was tough because we have $2,000 and like, I spent half of that on the wheels. You spent more than half of that on the wheels. But that just shows you how important the spinning part is. Like, that's where all of the gains are, I feel like. That's where your money is best spent. I made a video about this recently. The frame is like the last thing you want to spend a bunch of money on, because in terms of the gains per dollar spent, like the frame is, that's not the spot. So that's the reason we set this up in such a way where we're assuming you're coming in with a bike, even if it's not a very good bike. So, Rapide C38s, these are the new offering from Specialized, and they are also kind of middle of the road. But I am not, my setup, you'll see in a second, is not to go out and train on. I mean, you're certainly welcome to, but I have set mine up to where this is a race day setup, and then you have a training setup, which is whatever is on your bike. Because for me, like, I'm a hypocrite here because I train on carbon wheels, and I think there's nothing wrong with that, but go out on whatever. You don't need to be fast on a training ride. You need to do a lot of power on a training ride, and then it will feel awesome. When you go out on race day and you swap out all of that heavy box rim aluminum for carbon, you're gonna feel like you took that donut off of your bat and you're gonna be flying. So my tires that I'm putting on the Revals are Conti GP 5000. They're tubeless ready, even though I don't think the Rapides are tubeless ready.
I don't think so, yeah.
But that's not the point, because I'm not gonna run them tubeless anyway. I'm gonna run latex tubes in there also, because, right?
Yeah.
Because honestly, it is like the one thing I think you get the best bang for your buck in terms of dollars per watt saved are latex tubes. And I don't feel like, other than Brian and I, are sing it from mountaintops basically. There's nobody else that talks about it. So latex tubes, and that wraps up my Spinny bits. Category number 2. Let's kick it back to you. We'll call it Data Nerd.
Data Nerd.
Data Nerd.
I guess this would fall into that category. I got the Stages M5 or M50 head unit.
And it's cheap as hell right now too.
Yeah, I mean, the smallest Garmin is around $200, and this is much less.
Talk about that in a second. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, using my 20% discount, I applied that there.
Yeah.
But I have the same unit, or rather the larger one. But it's great. It's color. I did not get a power meter, which was a hard decision for me, because I think power meters are incredibly valuable for nearly every athlete out there who's training, beginner to well experienced. I did include a heart rate strap, because I think that is a good measure of fatigue and endurance and effort being put in. So I did get a heart rate strap, threw that in there. And then the last bit of tech, which I think is a little bit of a gray area, was I got a really nice Lezyne pump. And the reason I put it into tech was because
Lezyne pump.
Yeah, the build and the build accuracy of these pumps is really important for something that you use every day, and could drastically change your ride quality. If you have the wrong pressure in your tires, it changes how you ride.
Yeah.
And so the accuracy, I bought something cheap years ago and I kicked myself ever since. So spend money on a pump. It is worth it.
It's a good investment, and it'll just last a decade or longer.
Yes, those Lezyne pumps are built to last.
Anything else connects to your Data Nerd devices?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
Shall I?
Yeah, let's see your nerdy stuff.
I nerded out a little bit. I got a few items on there, but we're quickly running out of money here, so I have to be very selective. I went with a single-sided Stages power meter. I just think we're so spoiled these days. You remember, you don't have to go back that far. But when we started, certainly, it was cost prohibitive. SRM, I think, was the only choice you had for power, and it was $2,000.
This whole budget would have been on a single.
Blown on a single item. And now, I just couldn't believe it. I had to refresh the website. Stages has it for, I think it's $200, but then 20% off for a single side. So it's $160 for accurate, plus or minus 2% power or something. Mind blown. So I had to throw one of those on there. They're in stock right now too, which they're usually not. So that is going to connect to my computer, which I'll get to in a second. The other device that's connecting to my computer, Stages heart rate strap. It could be any heart rate strap. You get 20% off the Stages one. They're all about the same, I feel like. Yeah. I have one of the Stages one right over there. Yeah. It's comfortable. It pairs every time. What do you want? It's a heart rate strap.
Yeah.
They all connect to also a Stages Dash M50. I had this is one of my last changes. We have spent too much time on this spreadsheet. I had the Edge 130, which you guys see in my videos, the little baby Garmin on there. I had that on there because I really like that computer. It does everything I want and nothing more. And then I'd realized that, you can get a more capable computer with a color screen and a lot more functionality with the Stages for cheaper. So I threw the Stages on there, but I think both are great choices. And that's it for my techie bits. Let's kick it back to Brian for
Wildcard.
Yeah, wearables, wildcard accessories, whatever you want to call it, something like that. What do you got?
Yeah, so what's the one thing that you would say from a kind of nerding out maintenance side of the spectrum, or for me?
I got a couple of thoughts.
What's the first one?
Last time you threw me a curveball and you went with a crock pot full of hot wax and
exactly. So
seriously?
Yeah, so we had a little bit of a hiccup with my hot wax crock pot this week, and I tripped over the cord. It fell to the ground, broke into a million pieces.
First world problems.
While the wax was hot. It was a bad idea.
Jeez.
It was a nightmare to clean up.
Kitty's okay, right?
Yeah, Kitty was fine. It was outside, fortunately. Always do hot wax things in the garage or the driveway. Anyway, I decided that there's probably a easier way. Well, I didn't decide this. Silka decided that there's an easier way to do this that is close to as efficient, maybe a watt or two slower, but it is much better than your oil-based lubricant.
Convenience factor.
Yeah, and it's basically a wax-based lube that you apply just like a normal lube. It's like a drip bottle.
Okay.
It's about $25, but it's not only is it like faster, than your race-ready chain, but it also I would use something like this on all my bikes all year round. Just because it helps keep the drivetrain clean.
Can you use it in wet weather, in bad weather?
It does wear away faster than
you just have to reapply it more?
Yeah, you would have to reapply it. And it's one of those things that kind of dries, so you want to apply it beforehand.
See, I laugh and joke with Brian about this nerdy stuff when it comes to watts, but in secret, and I'm revealing this now, every time he makes some suggestion, I'm like Googling it, like, can I save 4 watts? Because he's searched the internet far and wide to find every little watt. And every time I have one of these questions about, which tires to use, which lube to use, this is my go-to guy right here.
But yeah, so then the next thing that's, it's not really a ooh-ah kind of thing, only because it's not my normal, which was, as I was walking out the door, you said, by the way, your avatar has flat pedals. And
Keep him on his toes.
And I was like, well, shit.
I have to buy pedals now.
Now I have to buy pedals. And so, yeah, so I was like, okay, well, let's see how much speedplay pedals cost on performance, and they didn't have speedplay pedals. That broke my heart.
He is a fanboy, after all.
I am a fanboy.
But I don't know if your budget would have allowed for some speedplay
I probably
pedals.
would have been screwed. But, before I was a speedplay fanboy, I was a Shimano fanboy, and I was like Shimano till I die.
Sure,
like
ride
till I die with Shimano.
So what'd you go with?
Shimano Ultegra pedals.
Hey, wise choice.
You really can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I've even thought about, having a little side thing with my Shimano pedals on like one of my bikes to see if I go back to them. I haven't committed to doing that yet, but yeah, great pedals. They will take a chunk out of the road, not a chunk out of the pedal if you clip them.
It's true, yeah.
They're durable. You can tighten the spring really tight, so you don't unclip and doing a spring. I can't do 1200 watts, but some people.
Yeah, you won't pop out of Shimano cleats.
Yeah.
In a sprint, you're locked in. So,
yes, so they're good.
Do you have any money left?
I think I have like $12.
12 bucks?
Maybe, but we'll just keep that there. I'm sure taxes and stuff. So I just did my wild cards, sort of wild cards. What'd you get?
Yeah. So let's see what we got. We got a little bit of money left. I think I have some pretty strong contenders in here. The first thing, this comes back to our first category, Spinny Bits, is I got an extra cassette. I forgot. I think in the first video we did, somebody brought it up. I was like, that's a fantastic idea, because I used to only have one cassette with 2 wheels. It's a nightmare. Don't even go down that road, just buy another cassette. So I saved some extra money for another cassette. You're not having to fumble around with it. Okay, that's not too exciting, but I thought, I remembered that one. I included it in there. Let's go with shoes. I decided to upgrade my shoes.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't get shoes at all. You have your avatar, your Zwift avatar shoes, whatever he's got.
I got barefoot. Are Shimano cleats compatible with barefoot or like Birkenstocks?
You could screw some bolts in there or something, maybe. Okay.
Oh man.
Bonds, you guys know I love my Bonds. I couldn't get the Vapors, which I like.
Okay.
They're expensive. They're expensive shoes. But I went with the Riot Plus. They're on sale right now. They're available on Performance Bike, and a cycling shoe is a very unique thing. Like if you walk around in a stiff carbon-soled cycling shoe, like the Bonds, you just know right away, there's no give. Because you want all that power to be transferred to the drivetrain. You don't want it to be lost in the shoe flexing, and plus your feet will be screaming at you if you are try to go out and do 50-mile riding Converse. I chose another pair of shoes, not in addition, but as a alternative selection, because shoes are very individual, and I couldn't really decide between the two. I like Bonds. For you narrow-footed people out there, Specialized Torque 2s are my other suggestion. They also have the trickle-down technology from their S-Works shoes, more for the narrow feet. Anyway.
Still carbon sole.
Still carbon sole, that's the important part, and still affordable. They're about the same price. Ultegra pedals. Not much else to say that we haven't already said. I've had the same Ultegra pedals for 10 years. They're actually on that bike.
I was gonna say, yeah, those are the ones I had too.
They just won't die. So if they're $200, you can get cheaper ones, but don't. Get the Ultegra ones, maybe the 105s, but I wouldn't go below that. And then we're getting close to the end here. A couple more items. Helmet. I did upgrade my helmet. I think it's important. You ride around all day. You want it to be comfortable. You want it to be safe. I chose one with MIPS. That is the Giro Gilis. Maybe that's how you say it. And it's a comfortable helmet. I've tried it on before. I think Giro makes great accessories, especially their helmets. And also with this, I chose an alternate just in case, because helmets are also pretty individual. I went with the Specialized AirNet. It is the same as the shoes. These are like the second tier down from their S-Works offerings. So same price, same idea.
Heavier maybe or something like
something silly like that. But choose one that fits you and that is safe. And both those, I think you'll find one that works. I had a few bucks left, so I went full Larson and I got Velo toes.
So proud.
I knew I'd make you happy. Long ones this time. I know in the previous one of the previous videos we did, I went the shorter ones, but hey, we're approaching the cold season. We're in the cold season, man. So I went with the long ones because I think first and foremost, the long Velo toes are like for weatherproofing your feet.
Yes.
Aero is kind of this added benefit, and now people associate Velo toes with only being aero, but like you forget that they also keep your feet dry, which is great if it's raining out.
The tall ones, if you get you have them go over your socks and a tight seal on your shin, then you don't have that drain of water going
over
down.
Your socks. I see people doing it the other way. It's cringe.
So you posted on Instagram this week. Yes, this is a most definite thing where you put the Velo toes actually underneath your leg warmers, because you want the seal to be on your skin. You saw that post? Yeah.
Where you stand on that, socks?
Socks are under.
Okay, so that's it for our $2,000. It went really fast. $2,000 does not last long. If you guys want to do another one, I'd be happy to do $1,000, $500. Like, I love doing these. I love talking about gear. And don't forget to vote below who you think had the better picks. We like going through that. I think Brian beat me pretty handily in the last video, so good having you on, bro.
Yeah, that was fun.